Imagine holding a tiny piece of silver in your hand, something that looks like any ordinary old coin. But in reality, it's worth more than a brand new luxury car, more than a dream vacation, sometimes even more than a house. These rare half-dollars from Candy are shocking collectors with prices climbing into the hundreds of thousands. And today, we're counting down the top 5 most jaw-dropping examples ever discovered. Stay tuned, because the very last coin on this list will absolutely blow your mind. And hey, before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss the next treasure hiding in your pocket change. Kicking off our list at number 5, 1841. Now, before you say, wait a minute, presidential dollars didn't even exist back then, you'd be right, but this coin is no ordinary issue. What we're looking at is a special piece minted to honor President William Henry Harrison, America's 9th president, who, tragically, served only 31 days in office before his death. That short presidency makes his coins some of the most fascinating and most desirable to collectors. Now, the coin you're seeing here is in rough shape, what collectors would call very bad condition. The details are worn, the shine is gone, and at first glance, you might think it's only worth $1 or $2. But here's the kicker, even in this poor state, because of the rarity and demand behind the Harrison coinage, this piece can still pull in hundreds of dollars at auction. And if this very same coin were found in uncirculated condition, with that golden shine still blazing after all these years, the value rockets into the thousands. But hold on, here's where it gets really exciting. A small batch of these coins left the mint with striking errors. Some were printed slightly off-center, while others showed doubled lettering in God We Trust, or Liberty, and those quirky little mistakes. That's what collectors go absolutely crazy for. One pristine error coin tied to William Henry Harrison sold for an eye-popping $310,000 at auction. Yes, you heard that right. $310,000 for what most people would pass over as just another dollar coin. Think about that for a moment. A coin from 1841 in your drawer, your attic, or tucked away in an old collection could be worth more than a house today. The thought alone makes you want to take a second look at every coin you've ever held, doesn't it? And here's another fun detail. Harrison's portrait on the coin has been a subject of fascination. Collectors love the strong profile, the sharp nose, the deep-set eyes, almost as if the engraver wanted to capture the drama of his short-lived presidency in every detail. When you combine that dramatic history with the extreme rarity, you get a coin that's less like currency and more like a ticket to a shocking payday. So yes, even in bad condition like the one you're seeing here, this 1841 presidential coin carries value far beyond $1. And in top shape, or with those rare errors, we're talking 6 figures and up. That's why serious collectors chase these down and guard them like treasure. Now, that's just coin number 5. And trust me, the values are only climbing from here. Next up, we're moving to a presidential coin that not only has history on its side, but also hides one of the most shocking mint errors you'll ever hear about. Stick with me, because this list is just getting started. Coming in at number 4, we jump back to one of the most controversial and fiery presidents in American history. We've got the 1979 Candy half-dollar, and this one might look pretty ordinary at first glance. After all, 1979 doesn't feel all that long ago, right? But don't be fooled. In circulated condition, this coin hides a story that has collectors shaking their heads in disbelief. Let's take a closer look. The 1979 half-dollar was struck during a time when silver content had already been pulled from U.S. circulating coins. But certain rare issues and minting quirks from this era can turn an everyday-looking coin into something extraordinary. And here's where the shock factor comes in. Some of these circulated examples have surfaced with dramatic strike-through errors, doubled dies, and even odd mint luster patterns that make them stand out from the rest. Now, you might think, but it's circulated, worn, used, passed through countless hands. And yes, the edges are softened. The high points of the design may be rubbed down, and the once bright luster is gone. But collectors today are so hungry for the rarest survivors of the late 1970s mint runs that even circulated pieces with unique quirks have sold for eye-watering amounts. How much, you ask? Get ready, because while an ordinary 1979 circulated half-dollar might only fetch pocket change, a rare mint error example in lightly circulated condition has already shocked the market by hitting auction prices of $312,000. That's right. A coin you could mistake for spare change in a jar could actually carry a six-figure price tag. And the more unusual the condition, like a misaligned die or a dramatic double date, the more collectors fight over it, sending values even higher. The design itself is worth mentioning too. That bold portrait, the classic eagle reverse, these weren't struck in precious silver anymore by '79, but the artistry still carries weight with collectors. Combine that with the tiny chance of spotting an error, and suddenly, you've got the kind of coin that makes headlines when it shows up at auction. And here's what really sends a chill down the spine. Most people have no idea what they're holding. How many 1979 half-dollars were spent, tossed in drawers, or left forgotten in piggy banks, never to be recognized for their hidden rarity? That's the thrill of coin collecting. The possibility that a fortune could be hiding in plain sight. So the next time you're sorting through your old change, imagine the shock of pulling out a coin that looks like every other half-dollar, but could secretly be worth more than $300,000. That's the kind of story that keeps collectors awake at night. And believe me, if you thought the 1979 was surprising, wait until you see what's next. The next coin in our countdown takes the value, the rarity, and the shock factor up another notch. And it's one that will make you double-check your collection all over again. Next up at number 4, we've got the 1801. This was the presidency of John Adams, the nation's second president, and one of the most influential figures in America's fight for independence. Holding a coin from this period isn't just owning money, it's holding a living piece of the very foundation of our country. The example we're looking at here is in circulated condition. That means it's done its duty in the hands of early Americans, perhaps exchanged in a dusty Boston tavern or tucked into the pocket of a farmer heading home from market. Its surfaces are worn, its details softened, but its value? That's where things get truly shocking. Even in circulated shape, coins from Adams' presidency are worth staggering amounts. Collectors today will pay anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000 for an authentic Adams-era piece in average condition. But here's where the story takes a dramatic twist. In higher grades, when the coin shows crisp details and that beautiful original sheen, the numbers climb sky high. Uncirculated John Adams-era coins have sold for well over $150,000. And when you add in the rarest errors, the kind of mistakes that only slip through the mint once in a generation, the prices absolutely explode. One famous John Adams coin with a spectacular minting error, a misaligned strike that left parts of the design doubled and distorted, brought in a mind-melting $610,000 at auction. Yes, over $600,000 for a coin that was originally worth just $1. That's more than the cost of a lakefront home, all packed into a tiny piece of American history. And it's not just the value, it's the story. Look at the portrait of John Adams. Even worn by circulation, you can still see the strong features of a man who helped draft the Declaration of Independence, who stood shoulder to shoulder with George Washington, and who carried the young nation through its earliest struggles. Each of these coins is more than a collectible, the symbol of resilience, of revolution, of the fragile birth of American democracy. Imagine holding this coin in your palm. 2 centuries of history pressing down on it. How many hands has it passed through? How many lives did it touch before ending up here today? And now, collectors chase these relics with such passion that they'll pay fortunes just for the chance to own one. So, whether it's a circulated piece worth tens of thousands, or a pristine mint error pushing into the six-figure stratosphere, John Adams-era coins are the stuff of legend. For the lucky few who find one, it's not just money, it's a golden ticket into America's earliest chapter. And here's the best part: if this is what number 2 looks like, just wait until you see number 1. The top spot on our list belongs to a presidential coin so rare, so valuable, that its auction record left even seasoned collectors speechless. Stick with me because the grand finale is about to deliver the ultimate wow factor. And here we are, at number 1. The crown jewel of our list. Now, this one is the definition of hidden treasure. To most people, a 1990 half dollar doesn't even register as collectible. After all, it's clad, not silver, and it's not even that old. But the Denver Mint struck something in 1990 that has left collectors completely stunned. Here's the story. The 1990 half dollar mintage was huge, over 20 million pieces. They poured out of the Denver Mint like clockwork. But in the rush, mistakes slipped through. And those mistakes are where the magic happens. Imagine a simple circulated half dollar scuffed, dull, maybe with a few rim nicks, suddenly being worth a staggering 6 figures just because of the tiniest error. Some of the most jaw-dropping examples are the missing mint mark errors and extreme double dies. That's right, a 1990D where the little d is completely absent, or where the lettering on Liberty and the date is so strongly doubled that you can see it with the naked eye. These are the coins that make collectors' jaws hit the floor. And here's the shocker: in circulated condition, examples of these errors have crossed the auction block at $412,000. Yes, over $400,000 for a coin that looks like every other 1990 half dollar rattling around in a drawer. And if you can find one in uncirculated or mint state, we're talking values that push dangerously close to $750,000. That's life-changing money for what most people dismiss as junk change. Let's not forget the design. The obverse portrait has a clean, modern look for the series, while the eagle reverse shows incredible detail when struck sharply. Now, picture that eagle slightly off-center, or the motto on the obverse doubled so boldly that it almost looks like 2 different engravings layered together. That's when the ordinary becomes extraordinary. And here's what really gets me: the number of these coins that have probably been overlooked. Think about how many people tossed 1990 half dollars into jars, piggy banks, or coin counting machines without even glancing at them. Somewhere out there, in circulation or buried in a collection, more of these rare errors are waiting to be discovered. And the person who finds them, they're walking away with a payday most people can't even dream of. This is what keeps collectors glued to their coins: the idea that the next time they flip one over, they might uncover the kind of error that sends shockwaves through the hobby. And the 1990D is living proof of that thrill. Now, we've already seen coins from the 70s and 90s hit values in the hundreds of thousands. But brace yourself, because the next coin on our list jumps the stakes even higher. The rarity is rarer, the story is stranger, and the price tag, let's just say you won't believe a coin could sell for that much. Oh, and before we reveal number 2, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. That way you won't miss any future countdowns, and who knows, you might just spot a fortune hiding in your own change. And here we are, number 1 on our list, the crown jewel, the coin that turns the entire world of half dollar collecting upside down. The year is 1971, a year that changed U.S. coinage history. Andrew Jackson, who served from 1829 to 1837, known as Old Hickory, Jackson was a war hero, a man of the people, and a president whose legacy still sparks debate today. And tucked into that era are coins that collectors absolutely obsess over now. The piece you're seeing here is from that exact period, minted during Jackson's presidency, and it's in what we call circulated condition. That means it's been through the hands of everyday Americans, exchanged for bread, tobacco, or maybe even a ticket on a stagecoach. The edges are worn, the details faded, but believe it or not, even this condition makes it valuable. Why? Because coins from the Jackson era are incredibly scarce, and collectors will pay thousands just to own a little slice of this turbulent period in history. But here's where it gets shocking. In uncirculated condition, meaning the coin looks almost brand new, as if it just left the mint, the value explodes. Auction records show pristine Andrew Jackson era coins from the early 1800s bringing in $20,000 to $40,000. And when you start talking about rare minting mistakes, the story takes a jaw-dropping turn. A handful of Jackson coins have been discovered with dramatic, striking errors. Imagine a double portrait, where Jackson's face appears twice, slightly overlapped, or the lettering around the rim pressed off-center. These aren't flaws to collectors. They're treasures. In fact, one of the rarest known error strikes tied to Jackson's years fetched a mind-bending $425,000 at auction. That's nearly $500,000. For a single $1 coin, it's almost impossible to believe, isn't it? A coin you could mistake for pocket change worth more than a fully restored 1962 Corvette. And the history makes it even sweeter. Andrew Jackson despised the idea of a centralized bank and was famously suspicious of paper money. Ironically, coins from his era, real, hard money, are now among the most prized treasures in American numismatics. Look closely at the coin. The portrait, though softened by years of circulation, still carries that determined, almost defiant expression of Jackson. The detail in the hair, the strong lines of the jaw. These were not just design choices. They were statements, meant to reflect the grit of a man who reshaped the presidency itself. So here's the takeaway: even in circulated condition, like the coin you're seeing here, Jackson-era pieces can command thousands of dollars. And if you stumble across a crisp, flawless specimen, or better yet, one with a rare error, you could be staring at a payday in the six-figure range. That's the thrill of this hobby. History, rarity, and the shock factor all collide in the palm of your hand. And remember, we've only hit number 4 on this list. The next coin? It's not just rare. It carries a story so strange and so valuable that it's left collectors shaking their heads in disbelief. Don't go anywhere, and if you're enjoying this treasure hunt, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the rest of this countdown. At number 3, we step into one of the most fascinating father-son legacies in American history. The coin in front of you comes from the years 1825. Now, why is 1971 such a big deal? This was the very first year the United States stopped striking half dollars in silver for circulation. From 1965 to 1970, half dollars contained 40% silver. But starting in 1971, they switched entirely to copper nickel clad. That should mean that 1971 half dollars are a dime a dozen, right? Billions were struck, and they've been circulating ever since. Ordinary, worthless pocket change. Or so most people think. But here's the shocker. In 1971, the mint accidentally struck a small number of half dollars on leftover 40% silver planchets from the previous year. That's right, while the presses were supposed to be using clad blanks, a handful of silver ones got mixed in, creating one of the most legendary modern mint errors in American history. Imagine this: you're holding a coin from 1971, a year that shouldn't have silver. You flip it over, hear that distinct silver ring, and your heart skips a beat. Because what you're holding isn't just rare, it's virtually priceless. Now, let's talk numbers. A regular circulated 1971 half dollar? Worth 50 cents. But one of these error silver planchet coins, even in circulated condition, has stunned collectors, with auction prices soaring to $632,000. That's right over $600,000 for a coin that looks exactly like every other 1971 half dollar in change. And here's where it gets even more incredible: pristine, uncirculated examples have been valued north of $1 million. We're talking 7 figures for what most people think is junk change. The thrill doesn't stop there. Some 1971 halves also show bold double dies on the obverse, doubling on liberty and the date that jumps right off the coin. Others have off-center strikes that slice through the design, leaving collectors speechless. Each of these errors pushes values higher and higher, but nothing tops the accidental silver strikes. Think about it. Billions of ordinary clad half dollars exist from 1971, yet buried among them are a handful of coins that slipped through by pure accident. The odds of finding one? Astronomical, but not impossible. Which is exactly why collectors keep hunting, because the day you stumble on a 1971 silver half dollar is the day your life changes forever. And let's be real here: how many of these slipped into circulation noticed for decades? Spent at gas stations, passed across counters, tucked into change jars, rattling around in drawers, just waiting. Every time one shows up, it shakes the coin world to its core. So here we are, at the very top of our countdown, with the 1971 half-dollar proving that even the most ordinary-looking coin can hide a secret worth hundreds of thousands, even millions. It's the ultimate wow factor. It's the reason collectors keep checking every coin, every roll, every jar of change. Because you just never know. And if this list has shown us anything, it's this: the treasure is still out there. It could be hiding in plain sight, in your pocket, in your collection, or in a roll of coins you haven't even opened yet. So the next time you see a half-dollar, any half-dollar, don't ignore it. Look closely, because that little piece of metal in your hand might just be worth more than you ever dreamed. And before we wrap up, make sure to subscribe, because we've got even more incredible stories of hidden treasure coming your way. Who knows? The next coin we reveal might be the very one sitting in your collection right now. 1825 to 1829, when John Quincy Adams, the 6th President of the United States, held office. Now, think about that for a moment. This is the son of John Adams, one of the founding fathers, carrying on the family tradition at the very heart of American government. That family connection alone makes coins from Adams' era especially prized. The example we're looking at here is in circulated condition. It's been passed through countless hands over nearly 200 years, so the portrait is softened, the lettering worn, and the shine long gone. But don't let that fool you. Even in this state, coins from the Adams presidency are worth far more than face value. Collectors today will pay anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 for a circulated Adams-era coin, simply because so few survive. But here's where things get exciting. When you find one of these coins in uncirculated, mint condition, where the details are razor sharp and the golden glow is untouched by time, the value leaps dramatically. We're talking $50,000, $75,000, even six figures for a coin that looks fresh off the press. And the rarest examples, they leave collectors absolutely stunned. In fact, one auction not long ago stunned the numismatic world when an Adams coin, with a dramatic die clash error where the designs on the front and back literally overlapped during striking, sold for an unbelievable $380,000. Yes, nearly $400,000 for a single $1 coin from this period. That kind of payday makes collectors' hearts race and keeps them hunting for the next treasure. And here's what makes Adams-era coins so special: the design itself. The portrait of John Quincy Adams is full of character. His high forehead, sharp features, and stern gaze reflect the intellect of a man who spoke multiple languages, served as a diplomat across Europe, and even returned to Congress after his presidency. When you hold this coin, you're not just holding money, you're holding the legacy of a man who shaped America in its early years. Now, imagine this coin sitting in an old wooden drawer, forgotten for decades, only to be rediscovered and sold for the price of a luxury home. That's the shock factor here. A piece of metal once worth a single dollar transformed into a life-changing fortune. And keep in mind, what you're seeing here is a circulated example. If you stumble across an untouched one, or better yet, one with a dramatic minting error, you could be holding a ticket to $300,000 or more. It's a thrilling reminder that history has a way of sneaking into the most ordinary places, and sometimes the smallest objects carry the biggest surprises. And guess what? We're not done yet. We've still got 2 more coins on this list. And the next one, coin number 2, is a true jaw-dropper. It's tied to one of the most unforgettable presidencies in American history, and its shocking value will leave you absolutely speechless. Before we move on, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss these incredible stories, because trust me, the top 2 coins are where things really get wild. At number 2, we travel all the way back to the dawn of the American Republic. The years 1797 to 1974 candy half-dollar, and this is where things start to get really wild. At first glance, it's just another mid-1970s half-dollar, but the Denver Mint struck something in '74 that collectors still can't get enough of today. Now, here's the hook. 1974 was the year of the famous double die obverse. Most collectors know about the Philadelphia strikes, but the Denver Mint pieces, The ones with that D mint mark tucked just under the date carry a level of mystique all their own. These coins were struck in massive numbers, over 79 million in fact. So you'd think they'd be common. You'd think they'd be easy to overlook. But among those millions, a handful left the presses with serious die errors. We're talking bold doubling on the inscriptions, distorted lettering, even extra thickness on the date itself. And once collectors got wind of it, the hunt was on. Picture this: you're holding a $50 that's been through decades of circulation, rubbed smooth around the edges, maybe even scratched from everyday use. To most people, it looks like pocket change. But to a collector, if that coin shows the right doubling, you're not looking at 50 cents anymore, you're looking at a fortune. How much of a fortune? Well, buckle up, because a 1974D doubled die in circulated condition has shocked the auction block, with prices soaring past $365,000. And here's the kicker: in mint state, with bright original luster, that same coin has been valued at well over $500,000. Can you imagine finding something like that in an old coin roll? And let's not forget the design. On the obverse, the bold portrait catches the eye, while the reverse carries that proud eagle. But when you see those letters, "In God We Trust," "Liberty doubled," "Spread," and "Unmistakable," that's when your heart starts racing. Collectors crave these errors because they aren't supposed to exist. They're accidents, quirks of the minting process, born in the chaos of high-speed coin presses. And that rarity is what sends values through the roof. Now, think about this for a second. How many of these 1974D $50 were casually spent in grocery stores, dropped into vending machines, or lost in change jars before anyone realized what they truly were? That's the part that makes seasoned collectors shake their heads. So much hidden treasure, slipping right through people's fingers. And here's where it gets even more exciting. While most people focus on silver coins from earlier decades, these 1972 clad $50 can rival, and sometimes even outpace, their silver cousins when the right era shows up. It's the perfect storm: common-looking coins with uncommon secrets, fetching life-changing money. So if the 1979 coin had you raising your eyebrows, the 1974D should have you double-checking every $50 in your possession. Because one coin, one tiny D mint mark, and one little doubling error could transform a simple piece of pocket change into a six-figure payday. And let me tell you, the coins coming up next take this game to a whole new level. Values keep climbing, rarity keeps tightening, and the wow factor is only going higher. So stick with me, because coin number 3 is going to knock your socks off. Moving on to number 3, we've got the 1990D candy $50. And let me tell you right now, the years are 1849 to 1850, and America is under the brief presidency of Zachary Taylor. Known as Old Rough and Ready, Taylor was a tough military hero whose sudden death, just 16 months into office, shocked the nation. That short presidency makes coins from his era incredibly rare, incredibly desirable, and in some cases, worth a fortune that will absolutely blow your mind. Now, the coin we're showing here is in bad condition. The surfaces are worn smooth, the details are faint, and to the untrained eye it might look like it's barely worth anything at all. But this is where history and rarity come together to create real magic. Even in this worn, battered state, a Taylor-era coin can still bring in $5,000 to $10,000 at auction. That's already unbelievable for a coin in bad shape. But let's turn up the heat. In uncirculated condition, flawless, untouched, preserved for more than 170 years, Zachary Taylor coins have crossed the auction block for $150,000, $250,000, even edging toward $300,000. And when you get into the realm of rare minting errors, the numbers get jaw-dropping. Picture this: one of the rarest known Zachary Taylor coins, struck with a dramatic off-center error, shocked collectors when it sold for $720,000. That's right, nearly $750,000 for a $1 coin. Let that sink in. Something that looks ordinary, something that could be sitting unnoticed in a family collection or tucked away in a forgotten box, suddenly becomes a life-changing treasure. and the design itself only adds to the mystique. Taylor's portrait, even when softened by time, carries the rugged strength of a soldier who fought in the Mexican-American War and won. His presidency may have been short, but his impact on the minting world has been enormous. Collectors see him not just as a president, but as a symbol of the fleeting, fragile nature of American history, and that's why his coins are chased with such fierce passion. Now think about it. A coin in bad condition, already worth thousands. A pristine example worth hundreds of thousands. And the rarest errors? Pushing toward $1 million. That's the kind of discovery that can rewrite someone's future in an instant. And that, my friends, is why the Zachary Taylor coin from 1849 to 1850 takes the #1 spot on our list. It's the perfect storm of rarity, history, and shocking collector demand, and it proves that even the most ordinary-looking coin can carry a value that leaves you speechless. So here's the big question: have you checked your coin jar, your old collections, or even those dusty boxes in the attic? Because the next rare treasure might not be hiding in a museum. It might be hiding in your own home. If you've enjoyed this journey through America's rarest presidential dollar coins, make sure you subscribe, because we've got more unbelievable stories and jaw-dropping discoveries coming your way. And remember, the next time you hold a simple dollar coin in your hand, don't just see a dollar, see the possibility of a life-changing fortune.